used to think my lack of self-control was the problem. I'd lose hours to social media, falling down rabbit holes of posts, videos, and arguments with strangers, only to come out of it feeling hollow, drained, and weirdly anxious. And I'd blame myself. I just need more discipline, I'd say. But then I found out the truth, a truth that's both terrifying and, in a way, liberating. My willpower was never the issue. The problem is that we are all in a psychological war we never signed up for. And today, I'm going to show you the enemy's playbook. We have to talk about what's happening to our minds. The tools we use every single day aren't neutral. They have been meticulously engineered by some of the brightest minds in the world with one single goal: to capture and hold our attention for as long as humanly possible. This isn't some unfortunate side effect. It's the entire business model. And the price of that business model is our mental health. The problem: welcome to the attention casino. So, what's really going on here? It all starts with a concept called the attention economy. The term's been around, but its consequences have never been more real. In this economy, your attention is the most valuable commodity on Earth. It's the new oil, and the biggest tech companies are the drillers, using vast, sophisticated machinery to extract it from you. But it's even bigger than oil. Your attention is the currency that powers the whole digital world. Every second you spend looking at a screen is a micropayment to the platform you're on. That time is then bundled up and sold to the highest bidder advertisers. The longer you look, the more ads they show you. The more you engage, the more data they collect. This data is then used to build a frighteningly accurate psychological profile of you. As former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris said, "These platforms profit by making us more and more predictable. We're worth more to them as manipulatable parts of a network than as free-thinking people living our own lives." And look, this isn't some wild conspiracy theory. It is the explicit business model that has built the wealthiest companies in history. They are in a constant battle for your finite attention. A minute you spend watching a sunset is a minute they don't get paid. A conversation you have with your family is an hour of lost revenue. So, they have engineered their products to fight for every spare moment of your consciousness. They are designed to be addictive because, in the attention economy, addiction is profit. The people who built these systems aren't cartoon villains. They're brilliant designers and engineers under immense pressure to hit one target: engagement. Insiders like Tristan Harris, who worked at Google, and Asa Raskin, the inventor of the infinite scroll, have stepped forward to explain how it all works. They compare it to a magic trick. A magician understands the blind spots and vulnerabilities of human perception to fool you. Social media designers are today's magicians, but their trick is to make you vanish from your own life and reappear inside their digital world, often before you even realize it's happened. They do this by exploiting the very wiring of our brains, turning our evolutionary survival instincts against us. They've studied how we work, not to help us, but to better trap us. The result is a collection of features that feel like fun conveniences, but function as weapons in a silent war for your mind. These aren't just apps. They are finely tuned instruments of psychological manipulation. It's time we understood exactly how they work. The agitation part 1, the weapons of mind hacking. To really get how this works, we need to look at the arsenal of psychological weapons these platforms use against us. These aren't bugs. They're the core features. Each one precision engineered to exploit a specific vulnerability in your mind. Weapon 1, the slot machine in your pocket variable rewards. The single most powerful tool for addiction is what psychologists call a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. That sounds complex, but you know exactly what it is: a slot machine. The pioneering psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered this decades ago. He found that lab rats would press a lever more obsessively if the food pellet they got was delivered randomly. The uncertainty of the reward was a far bigger motivator than a predictable one. Social media is the most effective slot machine ever built. Every time you pull down to refresh your feed, you are pulling the lever. Will the next post be a brilliant insight, a hilarious meme, an infuriating political opinion, a photo from an old friend, or just another boring ad? You have no idea. And that not knowing is precisely what keeps you pulling. That unpredictability unleashes the neurotransmitter dopamine in your brain. Now, Dopamine is often misunderstood as the pleasure chemical. It's more accurate to call it the chemical of anticipation and seeking. It doesn't just give you pleasure after a reward. It's what motivates you to seek the reward in the first place. The constant possibility of a reward keeps your dopamine system firing, putting you in a state of perpetual hunting. You scroll and scroll, not because you're actually enjoying it, but because your brain is on a frantic search for the next hit. This mechanism is everywhere. That red notification badge doesn't tell you what the notification is, just that it's there. Is it a like from a crush? A comment from your boss? The only way to solve the mystery and get that dopamine hit is to open the app. Every like, comment, and share arrives on an unpredictable schedule, turning your social life into a game of chance where the house always wins. The platforms feel like a service, but they function by getting you hooked on the hunt. Weapon 2, the craving for connection, the social validation loop. Humans are social animals. For hundreds of thousands of years, our survival depended on being accepted by our tribe. Getting cast out meant almost certain death. So, our brains are deeply wired to seek social approval and avoid social disapproval. We are constantly scanning our environment for signals about where we stand. Social media platforms have taken this ancient, powerful drive and turned it into a weapon. They've quantified social validation. They've put a number on belonging. Likes, hearts, shares, and follower counts aren't just fun features. They are digital measures of your social worth. Each like delivers a tiny hit of social approval, triggering the same reward pathways in your brain. This creates what's known as the social validation feedback loop. You post something, a photo, a thought, an update. Then you wait. You wait for the validation to come in. When the likes and positive comments appear, your brain gets a satisfying flood of dopamine, reinforcing the act of posting. You feel seen, accepted, validated. But what happens when you don't get as much validation as you hoped? Or when a negative comment appears? The same system that gives you pleasure now delivers pain. It feels like a real form of social rejection, triggering genuine anxiety and a drop in self-esteem. To fix that feeling, what do? You feel an urge to post again, to try for a better result, to chase that feeling of validation. It's a vicious cycle where you become dependent on the platform for your sense of self-worth. This is made even worse by the curated nature of these platforms. We are constantly swimming in the highlight reels of other people's lives, their perfect vacations, their job promotions, their flawless relationships. This breeds an environment of relentless social comparison. You end up comparing your messy, real, behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's perfectly filtered public performance. This is a recipe for anxiety, envy, and a constant feeling of not being good enough. It drives you to post an even more perfect version of your life, feeding the very cycle that's making you miserable. The agitation part 2, engineering the never-ending now. Beyond the psychology of rewards and validation, The very design of these platforms is meant to eliminate any reason you might have to leave. They've built a digital world that feels frictionless and infinite, a place where time itself seems to bend. Weapon 3. The Abyss of the Infinite Scroll. Do you remember a time on the internet when you'd reach the bottom of a page? There was a next page button. That click was a small moment of decision. It was a natural stopping point, a brief pause where your brain could ask, do I really want to keep going? That stopping point was deliberately removed. Asa Raskin, the man who invented the infinite scroll back in 2006, has since said he deeply regrets his creation. By his own estimation, his invention wastes the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of human lifetimes every single day. The goal was to make things more seamless for the user, but it unintentionally became a weapon of mass distraction. The infinite scroll exploits something called unit bias. Our brains like to finish things. We finish a chapter, an episode, a plate of food. By getting rid of the end of the page, the infinite scroll removes the unit. There's no sense of completion. A famous experiment with a self-refilling soup bowl proved this perfectly. Diners who ate from these bottomless bowls consumed 73% more soup than others, and they didn't even realize it. The infinite scroll is a bottomless bowl of content. You just keep consuming, with no cue to stop. The result? A state of mindless scrolling. Just 5 more minutes on Instagram or TikTok easily turns into an hour, because there are no boundaries to signal that your time is up. The design encourages a passive, almost trance-like state, where the decision-making part of your brain checks out, and the impulsive, stimulus-seeking part takes over. It's a frictionless slide into a time void, and it was designed that way. As Raskin himself said, if you don't give the brain time to catch up with its impulses, you just keep scrolling. Weapon 4. The red badge of manufactured anxiety. Think about the design of a notification icon. On most platforms, it's a bright, aggressive red circle with a number in it. That's no accident. In nature and in human systems like traffic lights, red signals urgency, importance, and danger. It's biologically hardwired to grab our attention. When that little red dot appears, it acts as a visual trigger. It can create a tiny spike of the stress hormone cortisol, creating an unresolved tension, an itch that has to be scratched. You feel a compulsion to open the app just to make the red dot disappear. This is a form of manufactured anxiety. The notification itself taps into our innate fear of missing out or that red badge whispers that something important is happening without you. The only way to relieve that social anxiety is to click. This conditioning is so powerful, it can lead to phantom vibrations. When you're sure you felt your phone vibrate, but you pull it out and there's nothing there. This is a neurological sign of just how deeply this loop is embedded in your nervous system. Your brain is so conditioned to anticipate a notification that it starts inventing the sensation. And these notifications aren't random. They're personalized. Haven't used an app for a few days? You might get a notification saying, your friend just commented on a photo. It's a carefully crafted lure designed to exploit your social curiosity and pull you back in. The goal of a notification isn't just to inform you. It's to interrupt you and retrieve you. The damage report, the toll on your mental health. This system of psychological manipulation isn't harmless. The constant engagement, the chase for validation, the social comparison, and the engineered anxiety are taking a profound toll on our collective mental health. This isn't just a feeling anymore. It's a public health crisis backed by a mountain of scientific research. The U.S. Surgeon General has issued a formal advisory on social media and youth mental health, a step reserved for major public health threats that need immediate action. The advisory states that we cannot conclude that social media is safe enough for kids and teens. Studies show that adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of poor mental health outcomes, including symptoms of depression and anxiety. But it's not just teens. Heavy social media use is strongly linked to increased anxiety, depression and loneliness across all age groups. One of the most damaging effects is on body image. Social media is a breeding ground for unrealistic beauty standards. You're bombarded with images of bodies that have been filtered, angled, and surgically altered to perfection. This creates a devastating gap between reality and the curated ideals on our screens. For young people, especially girls, this is linked to higher rates of body dissatisfaction, eating disorders, and depression. Around 40% of teens say they feel pressured to post content that gets lots of likes and positive comments, which can directly feed into these body image issues. Our sleep is another major casualty. Over half of teenagers report that social media hurts their sleep. The blue light from screens can disrupt our production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. But it's not just the light. The content itself, the endless stream of drama, news, and emotional triggers leaves our minds in a state of hyperarousal, making it difficult to power down and get real rest. This creates a destructive loop. Poor sleep worsens mental health, and those struggling with their mental health often use social media to cope, leading to even worse sleep. Cyberbullying also thrives on these platforms, exposing people to relentless negativity that can crush self-esteem. And the algorithms designed to maximize engagement often do so by promoting the most emotionally charged, divisive, and outrageous content because it gets the strongest reaction. This leads to increased polarization and a distorted view of the world as a more hostile and frightening place than it actually is. The science is getting clearer every day. One study found that simply cutting social media use down to 30 minutes a day led to significant reductions in loneliness and depression in just 3 weeks. A 2025 study of young people already being treated for mental health issues found that 40% reported problematic social media use, which was linked to more severe symptoms of depression and anxiety. The connection is real, it's measurable, and it's doing damage. The solution, reclaiming your mind hearing all of this, can feel overwhelming, even hopeless, like we're just pawns in a game run by trillion-dollar companies. But here's the most important thing. Awareness is the first and most powerful step to taking back control. Once you see how the magic trick works, you're no longer under its spell in the same way. This isn't about rejecting technology. It's about changing your relationship with it from one of passive consumption to one of intentional use. Here are 4 concrete counter tactics you can use to disarm these designs and reclaim your mind. Counter tactic 1. Disarm the triggers. This is a direct assault on the red badge of anxiety. Go into your phone's settings right now and turn off all notifications for your social media apps. Not just the sounds, the badges, and banners, too. A notifications job is to pull you into their app on their schedule. Turn them off, and you decide when to engage. You're back in the driver's seat. For an even more powerful move, try turning your phone to grayscale. This strips away the bright, stimulating colors, including that attention-grabbing red, making the whole experience less appealing and less effective at hijacking your brain's reward system. Counter tactic 2. Reintroduce friction. The infinite scroll is deadly because it's frictionless. Your goal is to add that friction back in. First, delete social media apps from your home screen. Bury them in a folder on the last page. This simple act creates a crucial pause, giving your conscious mind a second to ask, do I really want to do this? For an even bigger step, delete the apps from your phone entirely. Only access them through a web browser. The mobile web versions are often clunkier and less optimized, which is actually a good thing. They're missing many addictive features, and just having to type in the URL breaks the habit loop. Counter tactic 3. Curate with intention. Your feed is your digital environment. Right now, it might be a toxic landscape of comparison, outrage, and anxiety. You have the power to change that. Go on an aggressive unfollowing spree. Unfollow any account that consistently makes you feel bad about yourself or the world. Mute people whose posts stress you out. You are not obligated to consume anyone's content. Then, actively follow accounts that align with your real hobbies and goals. Follow artists, scientists, and creators who inspire you or teach you something. The goal is to turn your feed from a source of passive anxiety into an active tool for learning and inspiration. Make it a place you visit with a purpose, not a place you go to escape. Counter tactic 4. Practice digital mindfulness. This is about building the mental muscle of awareness. Before you pick up your phone, take one deep breath and ask yourself 2 questions. Why am I doing this?